Hey everyone, Ronnie here, and today we're going to be learning the wall run. Not the warped wall run like on Ninja Warrior, but a legit ninja wall run where you don't need the whole warp to get up the wall. This is just a straight flat wall we're going to be learning this on, and then you'll be able to wall run like a pro. Now, when learning the wall run, you don't need a wall just like this that you can climb up on. You can actually find a wall anywhere just for practicing the wall running technique. With starting off with the wall run, we're going to first talk about the approach. Now the awesome thing is when you learn the approach into doing a wall run, initially you'll probably have to kind of get familiar with your steps so you have the right spacing with the wall. But over time, as you get comfortable with what that spacing is and the depth perception when you look at a wall, you'll reach a point where you can just walk up to any wall and know exactly how to run up to it to hit it just right for a wall run. And that just comes with time and practice. But in the beginning, you might need to count out your steps a little bit just to figure out where you need to be to get the wall run down just right. So during the takeoff, you're actually going to be running at the wall, and at first we can start running towards the wall kind of slow. We're just going to get comfortable with jumping off of the wall. Don't worry about getting tons of height yet, you just want to get comfortable with approaching the wall and stepping a foot on the wall. So as you approach the wall, you want to find a spot where you're comfortable with your leg resting on the wall. You don't want to be too close where you're pushing in like this, and you don't want to be too far away where your legs too straight out and can't reach very well. If you have a lot of speed, you actually can be a little bit farther away from the wall because you're going to have a lot of momentum pushing into it. But starting out initially just going kind of slow, you just kind of want a comfortable spot on the wall. And ideally you want your foot to be about the same height as your hip on the wall. This tends to be an average comfortable spot for doing wall runs initially. Now you're just going to practice jumping from your ground leg and pushing off the wall with your wall jump leg. And now it's good to practice this with both legs, but personally I tend to focus mainly on my right leg planting on the wall. That's my strong leg. That's the one that's going to have the most impact against the wall. So that's the way I practice, but ultimately it's up to you to decide what feels more comfortable. So as you're practicing this motion without very much speed, right now you're just trying to push into the wall so you can get some grip with your shoes, and then push away slightly, push against the wall at the same time as you're jumping up and trying to get your center of gravity to go up the wall. When doing a wall run, you don't want to put a lot of weight and pressure pushing down on the wall, because that's just going to increase the chance of your shoe slipping and you're not going to be able to get very high. So the wall run technique is really about pushing into the wall, and it's using that push to transfer the momentum upwards. So it's not like you're stepping down on a ladder and climbing up, it's actually like you're blocking against the wall and bouncing up. But it's all going to be in that leg strength and leg power. As you push against it, you're kind of forcing your momentum to go up. As you get comfortable with that initial jump off the wall, you can start adding more speed, and you can try and jump and reach higher on the wall. Now when adding more speed to the wall run, your placement on the wall is going to be a little bit different, because especially if you're jumping up onto the wall, which is something you want to make sure you're doing, you want to make sure you're really jumping high from the ground and pushing again against the wall. And so with your leg planting where your hip is, keep in mind that you're also jumping from the ground and you want your foot to be hip height. And so if I'm this high in the air, that means my hip's going to be up here. So ideally, I want to be planting my foot a little bit higher so it's still hitting that nice takeoff point. It really will take a lot of experimenting on your own to get familiar with the amount of speed you need and how high the wall is, to be dependent on how far away you jump from the wall and how close you are to the wall and how high you plant your foot on the wall. There's a lot of variables to think about, but it'll come instinctively as you just practice the wall run a lot. You'll start learning it on your own and get familiar with the motion. So once you've gotten comfortable running into the wall with speed, it's time to start pushing yourself to see how high you can get. Now don't get carried away just yet. You don't want to go full sprint and just unexpectedly slam into the wall. That happens a lot when you're going really fast and you're not fully trained. Sometimes you'll just miss your foot in the correct spot it needs to be, and it'll slip down the wall. With all that speed, you're gonna slam right into it. So just keep that in mind as you practice the wall run and as you do it faster and as you try and go higher. The way I like to think about approaching the wall when I'm really trying to get high is that I'm attacking the wall. You know, I kind of start a ways back and then I'm kind of running up, kind of getting my pacing, and then as I get closer, I speed up until the last couple steps are just full, powerful steps as I jump into the wall, hit off the wall, and just fly up as high as I can, throwing my arms up to get as much reach as possible. And sometimes I'll even lead with one arm because that'll give me a couple inches of reach to grab onto the top. And so with that attack towards the wall, everything needs to happen fast. Your jump to wall kick needs to be very quick, because if you're slow making that happen, you're not going to have very much power jumping up the wall. A couple things you can do to help control your momentum as you're in the air so you don't kind of lose balance and fall backwards or things like that are, one, you can actually use your hands against the wall to kind of help support yourself and prevent yourself from flying into the wall, or just giving you that little bit of extra push that actually might help you get just a little bit higher. The other thing to keep in mind is that the higher you go, the longer you fall. So just make sure that however high you're going with the wall run, that your leg strength and drop technique is in a position that you're able to recover without causing damage to your knees or other joints. So bringing it all together, you have your momentum as you run into the wall. Depending on that speed is the distance you'll be jumping away from the wall, but ultimately you want your foot to be lined up with your hip as you're planting into the wall, and then you attack the wall. You jump from the ground as high as you can and then push against the wall, and those two momentums combined will force your body upwards. You can use your hands to help guide you a little bit, and as you're flying up, you just want to try and reach, whether with both hands or one hand, depending on how high the wall is. Then you'll just grab and go into the climb up. Now I'll teach you how to do proper climb up technique and strength training for climb ups and muscle ups in another tutorial, so stay tuned for that. But otherwise, this is the basic technique for the actual wall run that you can even practice on just a flat wall where there's nowhere to actually grab onto. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this tutorial in the comments. Let me know what other tutorials you would like to see in the future. And as always, be sure to subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.